management that starts today, and it's important because that change management allows us to say our previous screens and our previous controls are wrong. That starts today, and it's important. Okay, I should turn off the YouTube. Allows us to say, there it is. There it is. Let's stay there. Okay, let's share my screen and let's get going. Thanks so much again for joining us today, guys. There's a lot that we need to go through. So our morning today just is going to be literally QA. So all the questions and answers that have been compiled by Kabila. We're going to attack what QA is from an ISO perspective, so 9001, which is going to include quite a few things. It's going to be the NCR management. It's going to be our forms, checklists, and then how we've customized the solution to fit into big business. So what other clients are using the system for more than safety. And there's a lot of things that go around the customization. So when we talk customization, we go into a client, we say, let's help you change the behavior in your business. And part of it is to adapt to 360. So the first install normally is just, let's attack health and safety, because everyone it's a big buzzword, get SHEC compliant, get SHE compliant, get an ISO standard because of the clients you work with. And what ISO 9000 is doing for us is addressing these key areas. And we're going to go through those areas today. Do you mind bringing me some water? Sorry. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, so from a reporting functionality, we have NCR management in the tool. Do you guys go through status reports during the week? Yeah?
Yes.
Well, you like the workflow? Let's not talk changes yet, but do you like the principles of the workflow?
Yes. Belgium, where a project is at a certain time, and certain things have been done. And that's one of the areas that we highlight that might be a problem.
Okay. Projects are very big.
Yes.
Sure. Okay, so
we might have multiple projects running at the same time. So
yeah,
there's status, life status reports for all of those projects.
Yeah.
Although it might be one big project.
Yep. Let's show the web quickly. So before I go into NCR management, we have a lot of dashboards, and okay, that one, I close that screen. Close. Okay, that's a good one. Okay, so on 360, there are quite a few dashboards. The first dashboard shows us our InTouch. So if you look at your dashboard pages, this would be what InTouch is. Do you guys all have this, hey? Okay, so you literally have every single product that we have on our shelf, virtual shelf, okay? InTouch is helping us with showing up tickets. We're going to get to that later. But if you go and open up flags, status reports, quality, and quality dashboard, this is our internal system. So Safety 360, believe it or not, is using 360 to help with our committee meetings, our non-conformance cycle, and also our controls and measures. So we do the same thing with our projects. The reason I want to show you this before we get into NCR management is dashboards like this are very far and few between. This aspect is a real working example of how a dashboard can be made into anything. So if you see on the top, we've got status of what the actual NCRs are in the management cycle. You have NCRs where your regions are working. You've got NCRs that you need to take care of. The actual NCRs that are part of the system at the moment, and then my responsibility. So in terms of that cycle, the same dashboard is being made available for a health and safety perspective, environmental perspective, a risk perspective, and so on. So as we look at what it looks like, and remember again that we're looking at flag status reports on the left, quality and quality dashboard. That's where we're at the moment. Okay, so the main metric here is what has happened, who has reported it, what was reported, and what's going to happen from a quality perspective. Now, these are processes. Two of them are failing with our organization. Internal training policies and then operational procedures. So those two things in our organization are being rewritten. And it's being rewritten so that we can effectively manage more clientele, manage our staff better, and make sure we're listening to what our staff are saying. Because our staff are coming to us and saying, I don't know there's internal training. That's the quality non-conformance for 360, right? Okay, so we use it for ourselves. There's a target date set, and there's information that is held, and people and key people are responsible. So that's the next thing I want to move to. In terms of your question around status report and projects, I'll come back to the dashboard because there are a few other dashboards that are in our project monitors sequence. Okay, so let me not lose you. The main track now is status report, quality, and we're now going to go through NCR management. Okay, but I will go through the dashboard that is similar to that one for projects in the system. Okay. So in NCR at its core, this is our definition of it. So we have a corrective or preventative approach to something that has had non-conformance. And there could be a non-conformance to a service, product, or a process. Normally it's mostly processes, unless you've got suppliers, because a supplier can also stuff up and you want to hold them accountable in your business. The same with a contractor, because a supplier would be a guy that goes and says, okay, I want to have Aquasania water. Do I have any non-conformances for Aquasania? That would be a non-conformance to a supplier, whereas a contractor would be someone who's going to work on my site or for my subcontracting. So the key example is a client versus principal contractor being us, and then a subcontractor being the person that installs the fiber, for example. So those are completely different NCRs, and they get managed differently. Okay. So don't confuse what a site finding is to what a quality non-conformance is. Because an NCR, literally, it can be anything. Okay. The main thing is, can you identify that a process failed? That's basically what we're looking at here. It would be very good to do an awareness course if you don't understand 9001. There's a great company called WWise that does a quick course. There's e-learning material. There's overviews that you can get done where they literally compare standard for standard in 9000 with SHRC. So what does it mean for safety? What does it mean for 45? What does it mean for 14? Yeah, so all these standards are interlinked because of 45. And I would really recommend doing that. If you want to reach out, ask Chantal, she'll give you all the details. Okay. An NCR process includes these three managers. So we've got a champion. So the wording around quality is behavioral-based safety at the end of the day. So we say behavioral-based things have solutions, and there are two people to help us with that. You've got a champion that assists the HOD. So these two people would assist each other. HOD would be the person to close it off and to actually remedy it, but the champion is there should the HOD be sick, should the HOD ask for them to do things. So in the system, you'll see in your responsible people, we're going to flick over there quickly. If we go into organization workspace, employees, you'll be able to control your employees. But if you go into knowledge base, and then HSE system roles, that will show all the roles that we have in the system. So if I go and talk about a champion, wow. Okay, knowledge base. So you'll scroll down the side here. So there were actually two roles that were appointed to one specific client that rolled out Safety 360 in their operations. And that basically allowed us to enhance what we have. So let's go back to that page and just refresh it. And then in your search box, you can type in champion. So there's a champion. You'll notice that there is a description missing, but that's because normally quality people know what champions mean. Okay, so we'll bring in the champion description, which is highlighted in the presentation. Same thing with an HOD. So at the end of the day, we've got these two roles, champion versus HOD. Champion is someone who acts on behalf of the HOD, and the HOD is the person that's responsible for a specific area. In your demos, you've got like Operation A, Operation B. Those are your responsible key areas. Now, there could be different levels, so there could be a level above that. There could be just a company HOD for small businesses. But generally, when people go for ISO 9000 accreditation, the business is a bit bigger than 30 people. There will be definite sales, definite marketing, definite HR. So then you've got these, let's call them little islands of operations. So those operations would be responsible to each other, like marketing and sales. If marketing doesn't market, sales doesn't make sales. And let's say finance is the fourth one. If marketing and sales don't work together, then there's no, what was the fourth one? That was a question, so no one gets a discount. Finance. So finance doesn't bring any money in. Then sales is going to close down, marketing is going to close down, and operations will close down. So that's why we hold finance accountable to bring in money, like debt collection. It's the same principle. We have also included a check manager. This person is responsible to even go and edit anything. So if we think about a policy non-conformance, previously it would have been on paper, would have been in an Excel document, and that would mean that someone could edit the thing. Now, the problem with that is that the wrong person can edit it. So what we've done in the system is we've brought in a check manager. What the check manager can do is basically change and reassign actions, change and reassign root cause, and then fix some spelling. So you obviously put so much trust in your policy person because that person is integral to your business. It's making everything work together. So a check manager isn't assigned automatically, but in the same roles and responsibilities in that roles and responsibilities page, you'll see the same overview. This person is like, who? Let's think of a cool superhero. Not Superman. Yeah, better than Superman. So Captain America literally in the system, or Mrs. Captain America. Wonder Woman, yeah. Okay, then we've got our NCR. So NCRs end up in a root cause. So we've got our HOD, we've got our champion, then we've got a person responsible for root cause. And what we've done with the root cause is we've said there's a 5-tier approach, but you can start with 3. So there's many concepts of root cause analysis. There's the fishbone diagram and more. Okay, so what we've done is we've just said find a finding, and the findings will help you result in an action or responsible resolution. That could be preventative or corrective. I'll take you through the whole concept of the tool, but at the end of the day, the root cause is going to identify what went wrong. Okay, so like a finding would be 144 characters as an example from Twitter. How quickly can I define what went wrong in 3 steps? A little line, a little line, a little line. Because that's all we want to try and find out, to figure out what actually went wrong. The same root cause can apply to safety, but it's an optional thing. So we're finalizing what root cause is so that we can bring it into Sheet, because it's already in queue. Okay. Now, I'm going to take us through a manual action. So within the system, there are many places that a manual action can be created. What I have realized is I should log into our sub-account. So have you guys all logged into your sub-accounts? Wow, my sub-account's color is purple. Okay, I'm going to my white label sub-account. So if you see more businesses in here, that's because your companies are growing, right? Okay. You want to see a list of 100 here. Okay, the same thing with placing an order. It's a very quick process. We'll talk about that. Okay. So I can log into my sub-account quick. Cool. So in my sub-account, we've got a manual action. So status report plus NCR flag. That will start my actions. So during our setup, and I'm not going to get too far for Bernice, but these 8 actions are 8 status reports. So these actions will go from an audit all the way through to a policy non-conformance. But audits can happen through the auditor. A SHE-REP inspection can happen through a SHE-REP inspection. Filter checklist, a general checklist can happen through the checklist. So with my NCR assistant, I can use this to quickly identify issues in my system. Now remember, there's always a place where I can find a fault, which is, like we've said, checklists, auditing, doing a safe working procedure change, and identifying a risk on site. But this allows us to add a manual action. So the manual action would be irrelevant of a risk assessment, irrelevant of a checklist or an audit. For example, auditors could come to site, not use the system, but you can put the source of the action in and say, audit on 2015 by AABB. And these are the findings. Because you wouldn't force the auditor to use 360. I would say use 360 because the audit findings are great. The non-conformances come into your system automatically. Did you go through auditor yesterday like that as well? Awesome. So yeah, if you get the auditor to just use 360 to do legal compliance audits and etc., those findings will be in the system for you to remediate. The concept with this, before I move on to quality again, is that some of our clients want to do audits before they use the system to find the gap analysis. And the gap analysis can be the start of the sub-account demo. So we can go to a client and say, I'm going to come and do a gap analysis for you and provide you with a report. But the report already has actionable items within your login. So all you do is you send them the report and the login credentials to see if they want to remediate through the system. That system would be smaller and just show status reports, for example. And again, it'll be in your white label. Yeah. 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 We've been asking for this light bulb for a while. Yeah. 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 And just do it. Yeah. Yeah.
Falls on this table, why was staying on the trade?
Yeah.
Why don't we use a better one? Get the space one. So that no one can get one was.
Yeah.
And then it's a lot of that's why we must do this one. I wanted honestly immediately. That's why I want to get be done before
the real one. The nice thing though is to have your baseline. So if you've known that you've done a gap analysis before the auditor comes, you know your gaps. And your first audit will always have gaps. Like that's the nature of this. There will be one or two things that you just forgot about or someone rushed because they didn't know the process. They didn't know the policy of not climbing on the table. It's very like circumstantial.
It's also coming back to you there.
Yeah.
I can explain things and the factors of the
Yeah.
If the boss says this, you can keep that with all. Just remember, the person on the ground is going to be able to boss say that is their fault. So immediately they fails.
There's a business problem.
Yes. Because now the boss said, if it doesn't get done, I'll get money.
I'll get money, yeah, sure. So there's a lot of strategies you can have to sell. Australia, which is one of our key markets as well, use that approach. They go in with a gap analysis, they show the report, and they give the demo logins, which they're using quite successfully. They've had 4 or 5 clients, and now it's 12, 13 clients in the last month and a half. So they manage safety very differently. The Aussies are really pedantic, more pedantic than the guys from the UK. And I say that with all due respect. But we're the top. Yeah, they're probably a bit more as well. Okay, so with quality, I can go and do a manual action. So manual action would have a reporting region. So check this out. We've got all of our operations. So when you select that, those operations will come in. So which accounts did you guys log in with? Did you use your white label to get in there? Or did you use your sub-account logins to use the system? Okay, great. So these are all our logins. Going to my control user. What you'll see is most of the actions rely on a company ID in the backend. So to tell you now, our actual backend methodology is that the sub-account needs to do all the work and not the white label. So there are a few changes that we're doing, and I've seen the questions about that. about sub-accounts and the white labels and authority from the white label. And that's something that we need to re-explore and redefine, because it's really easy to bring in, for example, Gift as a client liaison for Fluid. Very easy to do. All we just needed to do is change the way that he creates his user. Okay, so there's a lot of little small hacks we can do to make it work right now, but I prefer to just do it properly the first time. That's normally our code. Let's do it well the first time. Great. Yeah.
What is the vector operation?
So the main thing in this side is that quality, in terms of quality, is we don't, in our other status reports, you might not have done a manual action for the other ones. So manual actions are allowed to be assigned to multiple areas at the same time. So check here. I did an audit on my site, and the auditor found the same problem on all 10 sites. So then I go and say my multiple operations had issues. So select multiple operations. See the internet. Yeah, so those are the two operations. So for your demo, for example, now that you understand how the setup works, I think the next step, Covenant, would be to go and say, how can we make them more relevant to the industries? So the main thing in our system is there's no button to say, I'm a telecommunications company, or I'm a plumber, or I'm a beautician, because those would have different operational regions. So what we need to do for you is to say, demo one, exactly, everything changes. The tool doesn't change.
The tool doesn't change, but that's
Yeah.
Exactly.
So now let's think about standards rather. So standard would be like 14, 9,000, 45,000, 35, 27, 20, whatever. So you're actually auditing against those standards, not against the industry. Because the industries are, let's say they're irrelevant. Are you happy to say industry is irrelevant and standards apply to industries?
Yes,
Cool.
so just remember, one high-level version,
And a bigger valve versus a small valve.
yes.
Yes.
Next, replace with it, does the format setup
Yeah.
versus the national. This little mark, for example, the S-Lines to the south.
Yeah.
It's totally different revenue of work, different scope of work. Where you've got audience that are normal setup, that only does 45 people do.
Hmm.
And there's a lot of challenges that come in there.
Yeah.
Something new. Looks can't change, colors can't change.
That's hectic.
So,
But the main thing is when you apply
it's the same industry, but it's different.
standards.
So,
Yeah.
that's
So
why I say, can't wait the standards.
without industry.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if you put a blonde onto a blonde's hair, it's going to become more blonde. If you put a blonde onto my hair, it's not going to be blonder. It's going to kind of go green, redder. Yeah, that's nice. So yeah, that's why we have the reporting regions. So in this demo, I've got operation A and B. But if we look at quality, like you brought up now, we're only doing one finding in one operation. Because you can imagine the upheaval that we could create if you go and say, this is a non-conformance finding. Now remember, the NCR process starts with a flag. So that's why the title actually in the menu, the item is a flag. So you're saying, I found something, are you going to do something about it? Quality is a different ballgame. Now I really found something. Because if I'm adding a quality non-conformance, it's not just a ladder's rung is missing or the serial number on a bucky has fallen off. This is something serious.
Unless
Yeah. So what we're talking about here is in operation A, I have an HOD,
yeah.
and the champion is my guy that works with my guy at operation A.
Can it be the same person?
So in a big organization, shouldn't be.
In a small
Yeah, it all depends on how your policy is written. You should always have someone that in case the HOD is sick, that invoice can still be paid. Because we affect business, we stop business. So I would recommend you always have two people stand by. In our organization, how this works is we've got the HOD for Safety 360 operations and a champion that falls under that person. There's two different people. Even though they seem to be at the exact same level in the business from a hierarchy perspective, there is always a second accountable. It's like a 2IC. Yeah, so this will then remove us from the list and take us to our employees. So if I open up that, I'm going to open up it in a new browser. To do that, I held in Control on the PC and Command on the Mac. But with PC, you just click Control and you click the button, and that will open a new tab for you. So you don't lose what you were doing on this screen. You can open up a new tab if you haven't done that before. Okay, if you haven't done that before, that's fine. Yeah, you can do the same thing. But imagine if you had filled out a whole observation, you'd have lost that. Okay, I'll show you how to do that. No problem. Here's our employees. So we can go and amend everybody. But what we've done with quality is in our settings, I think it's settings on the side here, you'll notice you've got quality non-conformance employees. So if you open up that option, this will show us exactly who everyone reports to. So this is a very good reporting line. Yeah, it's really good. You can go and say, I'm going to look up James Turner. He's in every single line item though. And he actually updates to someone else. So Keith Naidu is the person that James reports to. And that's only because James is a CEO. There is someone that the CEO is responsible to. If the business isn't doing well, who is the CEO accountable to? It can't really be himself. It should be maybe his wife or shareholders. Yeah. So I'm not saying that Keith Naidu is the wife here. I'm just saying that, let's say if there wasn't a shareholder, I'd make sure my wife tells me what to do. All partners.
Okay, if you get a sign that is I see that it's forced.
Yeah, so the forced update, it will work. Obviously, it's in the system, but it's something that you don't really want to use. You don't want to update things in this view. This should be controlled all by operations. So if we build another employee, so we create an employee and we say they're part of operation A, we'll automatically be linked to Gert as a champion and James as the HOD. Yeah. Yeah, so it automatically defaults to, yeah. Yeah, it'll be important to bring that in. Should we do that now? Great. Kavalan and Ricardo, do you mind just helping the guys out with those roles quick?
It's edited. Edited.
Unless it was forced. If there was a forced update on the employee, then it will always remain the same thing. So we'll go and check in your system and make sure it's updating. On your side, Bernice, did you do any of the changes and see it happen? Yeah, so you're good. So I think, cool.
Yeah, but it's not too big. It's supposed to stay there. You can agree. That's going to be fun.
Yeah, that's why I think there's been a forced one. So you're saying that this role here is moved.
That's the whole all day. Responsibilities involved all day. But now, if they've already and themselves are educated,
Yeah.
but their responsibility is not employees. That's a mistake. The last one is an educated.
Okay, so it's missing.
Missing.
Okay, we'll check it out. On your side, Bernice, are you seeing that? Sorry.
You selected Jack as a Jacqueline, but
Well, I think there's also an example there.
Okay, you can take the role away from him as well.
If they're not maybe biased.
Good. Let's check it out. Is it? Okay. Yeah, we'll have to review that. There's so much code that needs to be looked at, so I'll double check that. Thanks for the find. It's awesome. Okay, let's get back to here. We might see quick recap, we discussed ISO 9001. We're currently looking at our contents. So the contents of this include what an NCR means, who are the reporting functions. Again, you're going to get all of these presentations, but we're making sure they're really good before we send them to you. They'll be available in your 360 login. So we'll know actually when you download it. Just putting it out there. Yeah, when you log in, part of the policy is if I log in, everything will be tracked. No, don't worry. We're not from Asia. But do check out, if you've got a camera in an in-cab car, there is a microphone. The microphone does pick up noise. So review your company policies, because if you're tracking staff members, we're not allowed to continuously track them. It's against the law, especially when it comes to prosecution. Prosecutors go and say, did you record the incident? And the incident is acceptable 14 seconds before and 14 seconds after. It's not like you can go and prosecute and look for a fault from a year ago. That's not acceptable in a court of law. But I'm not the expert. Check with Sean Darlow. We had a really good debate yesterday with a client of ours. Now, we have chatted about reporting functions. So let's go back to the create manual action. That's in your systems. The screen looks like this, and the reason why it has these options is because we want to have as much detail about our non-conformance manual action. So to recap, a manual action is something that I find, other than an audit that I've done myself, or a checklist I've done myself, or a quality inspection I've done, contractor I've spot checked, etc. There are many types of actions that can be reported in the system. The second question is a root cause analysis required? Is there room for improvement, which there's normally always room for improvement? Again, everything's generic and everything's optionable, because clients do say, I don't want to see that there's an option, or I do. Who is reporting the action is important, because I can get told by an employee, contractor, customer, supplier, or other. And then last but not least is this important target date. As I'm finding the observation, when should this be remediated? And we go and say, give it 2 weeks. But that cycle is so far and few between. There's no drop down here to align with a process or a policy as yet. So if you think about the what I'm trying to achieve here, is if my observation is policies need to be rewritten, surely we should go and list the policies. If I go and say a process is failing, surely I should list the processes. But currently in 360, there isn't a drop down that says, list your company's processes, list your company's policies. Now imagine if that is there. Our drop-down lists grow up very often. We've got PPE, there's training courses, and these are places where you can manage the spelling of stuff and the remediation cycle. So do take into consideration that those can happen. We just need the right input to make it happen, and the right Scrum session. Okay. Let's do a manual action together. So in the system, forgetting about our HOD, we're going to go flags, add status report, quality, and then find an operational issue. Now, if you're not an expert in operational issues, I see that I'm in, yeah. Okay, status report flag on the left, and then quality. And then we're looking at reporting region. So usually this goes and says companies, multiple operations, but you'll notice in quality is the only place that you can select one operation. Okay, so an operation could also be a process. So see this as a process. The important part about that again is because as a demo you can only see operation A and B, or in your case operation A, that doesn't mean anything right now. So trying to think up this fake issue for an unnamed operation, it's really extremist. That's why in our operations we actually went in and said projects, whatever. Okay, so see it as business units. These are our areas of the business. And you'll notice that the HOD and the champion will now come in order of responsibility. So what you'll notice here is we've got Fred and Gert. So Fred is the individual who will receive the email about being actioned. The Gerrit will get the email to say process and verify. So he'll follow the whole process all the time, being a champion. Let's market it as internal. I want to do a root cause analysis, and it is going to be room for improvement. So the users that were created and employees, it's important to know that their emails actually exist. Because if they don't exist, they hit a spam URL with Hetzner and they come back to me. So I'll get every single email that you don't have an email for. So in your demos, please be very specific. These emails have actions. So an action is going to be sent. Funky emails, I've seen a lot of them. But we will follow up with you. And like I said, it'll be very prudent to destroy the data from these demos, because you can then start fresh. If you want to keep the employees, we can do that. But we're mostly importantly wanting to reset up your operations. Okay, so Kavalan will assist us with that, and Reputer will assist us with that today. Okay. Who is reporting the action? I'm going to select an employee. And these are the employees that are in my business. So let's say Johannes Lobo is reporting it. And now all of a sudden, I've got a person that's responsible for the NCR. So the aspect that you need to understand here and remember is there's many operations in a business, many processes, and those processes, there's something that has failed. So right now it's very ambiguous because you've got a fake name for an operation, fake employees, fake problems. But you have to assign a responsibility to that operation A. So something needs to mean something right now, okay? So keep it in your mind just before you ask it. Your responsible person for the HOD here is a specific guy that's going to actually start actioning this problem. Because this is the person, James, who needs to come into the system and say, what Fred has put in as an action plan and has signed off is working for my guy, James. James found the problem in sales, and it is a problem that maintenance needs to fix, like this light bulb. But James operates in sales, so his HOD is never going to, his HOD isn't the maintenance HOD, right? This you reveal. So that's why the sales HOD needs to go on top with the HOD from maintenance and say, okay, together we'll battle it out to get that new light bulb for you because you deserve it. Like, okay, I'll arrange the guy that has the ladder because I know where the ladders are. That's right. Yeah. If the maintenance guy doesn't know where the ladders are, first of all, go to the inventory because you got it in the system. Okay, so that's the reason why there are 3 people here. The champion will be facilitating and helping, but it's the HOD's responsibilities to actually solve the problem at hand. So in your Hannes' profile, does he have the operation link to him? If you can help Kavalan, that would be helpful, man. Bernice, did you select a person that had an operation like this here? Yeah. Yeah. Only 2 employees. Yeah. Yo, small business. Eh? We'll check your employee now. So on your side, Bernice, what is your responsibility with IDT?
I'm on the same team.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So, online version actually might be a problem to
Good.
That's what it is.
That is my head.
Always things like that. Can you say a few like use one that seems to a little kind of
Look, I think it is a fiber issue. So do you want to do a smoke break? Let's do a smoke break. We will be back in a bit, guys. Thanks so much for joining us if you're online.
yeah. Mine is actually going to receive the guidance.
Okay. Great, welcome back. You need to be reset, yeah. And your correct demo industry needs to be put in place. Yeah. Cool, so let's get into the system. Fiber's back, refresh the page. Might need to log in again. I have sent 2 emails out to say, can you give me a new quote? I want to see if I can move my fiber. But like I said earlier, Terraco is a big issue for us. Oh no, I need that. That one's good. This will apply to us a bit later. Coming profile good. Okay, great. So we're at this point. Flag status report. Status report non-conformance, quality. Okay, so let's choose an operation. What you should be seeing is something very similar to a screen. Okay, so here you've seen that James Turner reported something in his lineup is Fred, where if I go to John Jones, the lineup is James. Okay, so this is a real-time checker. It's always going to refresh. So that's why if you click on amend employee, do the change in a new window, come back and select the guy again, everything will change again. Yeah, so the key crux of what we're actually achieving within quality is what happened, when did it happen, why did it happen, who is involved, and where was it? So what I've done in the presentation that you'll receive as well is facilitate these main questions. So I'm going to move across to my, okay, guys, we'll go to that next. Okay, so we know observation, if you type in something that has gone wrong, let's go and say my target date is in 2 weeks' time, my observation is observation A. When I verify my action, what we now do is we go and remind the person, and this is part of our training. So when we train someone on how to use the setting, so we go and remind them, this is the where, this is the who, and then this is the what. Because it's a manual action, you're finding it right now. So the time doesn't really matter right now. Time is reported today. Saving the action will then generate me my non-conformance number and also bring in my progress report. So this is the first thing that we really want to try and ask the individuals to report on. So they had observation A. You surely know a little bit more detail about what's happened with this observation. So I can put feedback in here. I'm just going to say feedback A, and then also drop an image. Now I've got a couple of screenshots that I can use. What's this one? Cool. Nice group shot in the team. So that's my feedback. And I can drop in a lot of evidence. Now, that evidence is quite crucial for us because as we're building our non-conformance flag into a non-conformance cycle, the evidence that is now linked to my specific non-conformance number is always available to me. So has everyone got to this stage where I've added progress and I've got maybe an image? It doesn't really need to be an image, just need to be some progress. Okay, so remember I'm logged in as James Turner. Now our logins are quite crucial. Like Rafito was pointing out just now, it's so important that those people have different logins. And that's why it's important to, in this case, have three individuals, 3 different logins. Because at this second, there were 3 emails that got sent out. One to say there was something that happened in my status report, it's assigned to you, that was to the HOD on Operation A. The second email went to the champion of Operation A. This is happening in your operation. And the third one went to my operational head for Fred. So he went and said, this guy, John Jones, reported an issue, this issue, observation A, and you have been assigned to close the action. His HOD must be the person that says, shop, everything's fine. Okay. This is just the start. In this case, James Turner is not involved at all. There's no ways that James is supposed to be touching this thing. He's not in Operation A. He's not in Operation wherever the other guy's from. He's the CEO, because James is the CEO of the business. James can add progress, which is this little, I think it's called a paperclip. I don't really use paper much. So I'm just kidding, I do use paper. Let's go through the columns. So we've got a numbering system. Now with quality, it gets pretty intense. We can put numbers in here. So the 401 is a shared number over the whole system for this month. But you can also go and say for company, sub-company, go and call it different things. So we can go and say it's my company name -Q-001. That's my first NCR number. Because the NCR number should be consequential, consecutive. And when an auditor comes to audit you, he wants to know where are all those missing numbers. Because the auditor doesn't know in the back of the mind that there are other companies using the same setup because it's a multi-tenanted solution. We have made the numbers automatic. So generally it just goes and says, I'm going to give you a number every time, like your normal status report. But this number, like I said, is controlled, just like your document control.
So you can't
Yeah, you can change it from the first setup. You can go and say, I want to use quality in this way. Okay. There's my sequence for the week or the months. My date of the finding, the operation of the finding, observation of the finding, the reporter of the finding. Zoom out a little bit. Action date and responsive person are missing because my HOD reporting to Operation A hasn't assigned anybody. My target date is set and it's in progress. The root cause has been selected. Ja, ek het 'n lekker prentjie in gepas. Okay, het daai prentjie lekker gelei? Okay. Let's do a screenshot. Love coffee. Kind of like the dark ages there. Sometimes Macs also give you trouble, eh? There. Now I'm back to the presentation. Thank goodness. Okay. There you go. This is now the picture of a coffee cup. So when you uploaded it, did you see it go all the way over and have a little green tick? Okay, so something went wrong with your upload. Could have been a document, because on this progress we want PDFs, images. It would have given you a message, though. Like a ping or a PNG or JPEG. You just check that Tapela. So Tapela will help you out there. There's the second image saved. So what it's come back with, okay, we've got another test happening. So someone else is logged in on my side. Is it? It's okay, no problem. Lessons. So can you see the number change between the two, Kavita? So you're using the generic number in this system. So this is now the shared number on all the tenants on Safety 360. Yeah, sequence is good, but remember, sequence changes every month. So this is going to change when we get 08. But yeah. Yeah. Okay, so we've got our non-conformance. We had 3 people involved. James did the reporting, but people who need to action it, we said Fred Flintstone and I don't know the other one, but I know the one manager is Fred Flintstone. So let's go in, I'm going to double check. Because I don't receive these emails, because they actually go to Sean's login, I'm going to go check what Fred Flintstone's using. Fred Flintstone, check it out. He's actually involved in a different operation completely. So he's the sales guy as an example. In this instance, we gave a fake issue. So we are going to get so lost right now. So Operation A, and that means that the champion between Operation A, Nicole or Kat, I don't know which of the two right now on this screen is the actual HOD though. These are just our users. Very different to employees. Eh? Let me just double check. So with the difference between an employee and a user, an employee is just a profile. I've got an employee that is in my system. He's never going to access anything. That's why they don't get assigned automatic usernames. The moment I start creating a user, or I can link an employee to become a user, that's when the two meet together and they say, your user has an employee link. Okay. That's the reason why we've got the employee link there, because for example, your senior shareholders, you wouldn't want them to log in, but you could assign them notifications. So a notification for a senior shareholder could be incidents on site, where fatalities. So that would be a very good business, but it doesn't happen. It's strange to say that. Okay, they'll get an executive report, and you can pull your executive reports from here and just email them. But sometimes you've got a shareholder that's really gung-ho, lives in Mauritius, sails during the day, and at night wants to see his system. That could be a case, right? Okay. I don't want to go too far with Albanese, but she can catch up. This is being recorded, right? So you can go and check it out. I was also going to show you, and I'm sure it's been mentioned in training, there's also the learner management. So it fits into quality as well. But learners are literally just first name, last name, ID, email, and phone number, where phone number is an optional thing. So the learner management portal is not a user either. But learners can be sent emails to go and say, please sign for this register. You were here on my site. So anyone that attended white label training in the last 2 sessions were asked to sign a little signature, and you would have got the URL for it. We have plenty changes to how that's going to work, and I'm so glad to show it next week that we're having a webinar on Wednesday. Okay, let's not get too distracted because I do jump. Sorry. Now that we've got our non-conformance, let's go back to our quality dashboard. So clicked on flag status reports, quality dashboard. In my quality dashboard, I'm in my sub-company. I've got my observation A, which reported today. So looking at our 2 operations. Operation A isn't doing too well. We've got 2 non-conformances. The other one was a test by Kavalan. So if you didn't see me create that one, Kavalan did create it. Okay. Now, what you'll notice here is we've got, zoom in, our regions. We've got the NCRs that are associated to me. So this would change every time I log in. So my NCRs are about the person that is logged in. So remember, I just logged back into Fred Flintstone. Did I do that? Yeah, no. I need to log out. So James Turner isn't involved. Going in as Fred Flintstone. Yeah, exactly. So the HOD is now logging in. But remember where we were at in quality dashboard. Just help needs to catch up a little bit. Let's go into our menu system. This is what it looks like on a tablet, by the way. Your menu becomes a little hamburger menu. That's what it's called. It's quite fun. I do a rave burger. Love rave burgers. Then there's the dashboard. So same NCRs. My actions are just a bit bigger. I've got 2 HOD responsibilities. I have 2 open. So if you hover over them, they've given you a little bit of a description. So these are awaiting attention, none in attendance, which is being attending, 2, no dependent actions, progress, root cause, and close. So we have 1 NCR that has been closed, which is great. We love closing NCRs, but sometimes they take 2 months. Then we've got our observations. So this is just a really high-level view of what's happening in the system. What's the number? Where is it? What is the observation? What's the date? When do I need to fix this by? Because your check team would be on this page a lot, right? So we do consider the dashboards, but also remember them from a view of I'm going in as a check manager, or I'm going in as an employee. All employees see the quality of NCRs. The only one operation that we are looking at hiding is HR as operation. So if there are HR issues, that doesn't get shown to the company because it could be sensitive, it could include disputes, it could include grievances, etc. So if you do have an HR facility, we just do need to go and make sure that your operational setup is correct. Okay. So do take that into consideration. If you get asked a question like with a client, how do I hide data? You can hide data. Because there are linkers that we can put up to our standard users. Remember, standard user is a guy that's linked to just one operation. So standard user there will only see this operation's issues, right? So if your check team is that big, then that's awesome. But if your check team can only see that one item, you've got a second check team for your HR, then you do need to do the split because there will be different policies and procedures to deal with them. But more importantly, you don't want your staff members to see every single non-conformance, which is currently the way the system's set up. System from a safety perspective is everyone sees everything because everyone works together. Quality though goes and says, I've got a grievance, I've got a dispute that needs to be handled on a HR level. Now, it's very different to an operational issue. Okay, but I'm seeing a lot of no's, so that's a good sign. Okay, my NCRs, they get listed below. Okay, we need to get you logged in as the HOD. I think it's Gibbs login. Oh, how many, are you sure you're in the sub account there? Okay, just double check that. Thanks, Kavalan. Okay, so my responsible NCRs is literally this pie chart, but the pie chart broken down into the actual observations that I need to fix. Okay. Bernice, you call following? You okay?
I'm following.
Okay.
Don't you understand the problem?
Okay. I think the main thing for you here is how this works at the top. So moving it from being open to closed. And this is just because it doesn't fall under your responsibility. So, like...
Yeah, but still, I mean, I don't know how to check this. So then, why do you know my payroll is very practical? I must say, I have to be focusing on that practical.
It's okay though. Like you saw with Tolo in the beginning. Oh, sorry, Tolo. Sorry, Rufilo. My bad. My bad. Rufilo was showing you a couple of our YouTube pages. It was Bernice that you showed on.
It was one week on Monday.
Cool. I just quickly shared with you so that sort of Rufilo could go and fix it. That's so bad. Like I was fun the whole day. Amazing. So yeah, there are YouTube links for all of the videos. We're making comparisons between the 2 weeks, because there are snippets that we need to exclude and snippets we need to add between the 2 weeks. Just wait for that. Yeah.
Because the whole system data was fun.
I get that. It's okay. No, don't worry about it, really. You don't have to excuse yourself. I know it's hectic to be out of business for 5 days. And this is like a Monday, because Friday is either a hectic day or a really good day. Okay, but basically, do check the videos out. We will have a webinar on Wednesday, and there will be an overview again. Okay, so don't worry too much about it. So these are also all broken down into all quality flags. So those are our 2. If I'm an HOD, I can click on that to see the 2 HOD flags. No, I'm not an HOD in this case. I'm a department HOD. Remember the 2 guys we had, one of them has to close it and one is to action it. So Fred Flintstone is not the closer here. He's just the manager that's involved with Operation A. I mean, Operation B. Operation A had the issue, but Operation B found the issue. Okay, then root cause flags, how many have I been assigned to do it? So we have grids for all this stuff, but again, a dashboard is so much better to look at because it's one view, you don't have to remember where to click, and every section has one. So for example, incident management has a dashboard. If I look at contractor management, but I don't see it's available here, that has its own, there you go. Also, we're developing its own dashboard as well. Okay, so let's go into observation A. Yeah.
Working the system.
Yeah. We'll get it right. So on your side, you can contact John Byrne, and he'll help you with any extra training and site visits and stuff. So he's your client liaison. John, yeah. 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 This, exactly. It ended, yeah. But Fred is the guy that needs to take it all the way until this level here. Yeah, but Gert will always get told. So in this list here, okay. So remember we had the two people. So the first person was Fred and the other one is Gert. So Fred is the guy that needs to fix the problem in Operation B. But Gert is in Operation A. So Operation A is the closer only because Operation A had the problem. Wow. Okay. Wow. In Operation B, we could choose anybody, but it has to be in Operation B, in the employee record. Oh, cool. Yeah, yeah. Check it out. I'm not in as a control user. Okay, very different. But it now comes back to what went wrong. So even if there's two officers, there's still one problem and one solution provider, for example. So if the problem is attendance, it'll go up to operations to say from an operational perspective, there's something going wrong. Okay, but that is an internal discussion. We'll do it at 12. Okay, at 12 will be our next big break. That's lunch. Eh? Cool. We don't do lunch. No, we'll be done by 12. Okay, so next up is person and assigning responsibility. So what we've done here is we've logged in as Fred Flintstone. Fred has come in and said, I've got a pending person to have action. So I select my employee. I'm going to ask John Jones, and I'm going to ask myself to do the actual root cause, just so I don't have to log out again. So this is quite important here. John Jones is going to help remediate the issue, but Fred Flintstone is going to do the root cause analysis. So he's waiting for John Jones to do his work so that he can see progress, he can see remediation, dependent actions, etc. Fred Flintstone could have more people help him do the root cause. So we could go and say that Gert also needs to do root cause analysis. Anybody, yeah. So you have to assign that though, because what's important here is that you're giving someone responsibility. We're not going and saying, hey guys, please, someone fix the problem. You're saying, that somebody is Fred. So in this case, I wouldn't do a root cause to two people. I would go and say, Fred, you do the root cause. But Johns, you help Fred by completing actions relating back to progress. Okay, so let's say I'm sending email. So currently in the system, this pops out a new email. It puts in the information. This is just a remedial action email. It's not a big one. That's why it pops out into your own email client. However, V2 means that this is done automatically for you, like we've done the HOD stuff. The only reason that this is here is because you might want to fill in more information that wasn't captured before. Close it out. Great, so John Jones has been given responsibility. There's already some progress, but now I can go and create a dependency. So let's say, for example, I've logged back in as John Jones. I got the email, I've said, okay, I'm going back into the system. I'm not the person to actually fix this. I need someone's assistance. For example, a new PO is needed or something. You guys okay, hey, Tippin? But you need to go in as the person, as a manager. So this guy. Have you got the username? Okay, and nothing's coming up. And my NCRs? Okay. Yeah. Okay, I'll come and look at it right now. We'll be back.
Paul Elston.
No, phone John. Phone Sean, phone John. Okay, we love phone calls.
But normally if you phone Sean, Sean phones you.
No, he walks over. Let me check this quick. Okay, so the next aspect is our root cause. So let's head back to our status report. Okay, so this includes obviously the person that's supposed to be logged in. So we just need to make sure that Bernice is logged in as a control quickly because we can't actually see the remediation guys. So if you want to look at it on my screen, it's okay. Okay. Well, okay, then we've got our manual actions in it. John Jones has been remediated to ask for. Now he wants to have some help. So John is going to go and say, help me and please assist in doing something by this date, because you want to fix it before the actual date, right? Again, everything is all customizable. So what's happening in this instance is this person is going to get an email, which is what you saw came up on my screen. Okay, so let's go back to our quality dashboard. So now we've got one dependency. So you'll see here, because I've got an action signed, it's now in attendance. Because the action that's in attendance is a dependent action as well, I've got those two, but they're not the same. They're not the same number. They're not different numbers. It's still the one non-conformance. Okay, so the reason why we've got these tallies is just to show you how much extra help the check team is actually getting for a dependency perspective. Okay, progress, root, and closed. Let's go back to observation A. You can click on that, or whichever one you're working with. Now what you'll notice is that there's a link icon. The link icon is linking the two together because they have the same issue. So it doesn't get a new number, it's the same number. So different to the she stuff, every she, even if it's a dependent action, gets its own unique number. This is the place where it doesn't do that. So check, there'll only be one non-conformance with multiple actions under the non-conformance. Okay, so we've got our first actions. You'll also notice the sequence, like Kavalan was saying, we've got 3 and then 3.01. That's now also showing us what's actually happening behind the scenes. Okay. Our root cause analysis is in progress, but you'll notice now if we go back to the real dashboard, this person will have gotten an email. Okay, the only reason I'm going back to the dashboard is to show you the notification. So our notification appears in the lightning bolt that Tapelo took you through on Monday. I've got more actions. So one of my actions was obviously to action, which I've already done. These can also be cleared, but the main aspect is this is going to take you through to the link. The link will be in the email, so you would have received all these emails. Okay, the gift might have received a couple of emails as well. Okay, good. I open the link, takes me through to the quality non-conformance from the email or from your notification on the dashboard. Okay, we're good? Sweet. Now, what you'll notice in the status report, root cause analysis, is that we start with our findings on the left. So like we saw the number, that's important. What I'm going to just do is zoom in a bit, just to talk through the logic here. We've got a number, we've got the where, we've got the source, the finding date. So like again, source could have actually been a quality checklist. A source could have been a in-touch compliment or a complaint. Okay, we'll talk about in-touch just now. The user that did it, the responsible person, HOD, and the sign-off HOD. Remediation, we've got Fred Flintstone doing the actual root cause. It was assigned to John Jones, and there's a risk assessment. Due date is not applicable because I'm not yet there. I haven't even started my root cause analysis. Progress, I've got some feedback. Evidence, I've got photographs. And now my findings occur. So in my root cause analysis, this is part of what my non-conformance is. And I need to do 3 separate findings, at least, that will help me with my analysis. This is what the page looks like normally. When I add a finding, looking at 144 characters, that will help me. And then another finding, another 140, fair to spell well, that will help me more, maybe. And then let's go for the last one. Also, another 144 characters. And now what will happen is, because of those 3 findings, we get our results. Now, outcome is important because we take those 3 findings to assist us with really getting to grips with what happened. So imagine asking the question, why did it happen? It's like a bit of a nag, but it's actually helpful because you really understand, okay, the person's asking this question, but there's a reason why the question's been asked. So within quality, it's a good exercise to do breathing well, to make sure that you're not hot-tempered, and to really relax. Go for a lot of spas, because quality can be quite a nightmare. And I love the spa. I'm not for like the spa down the road. It's got good chips, but like, let's go for a spa that's got some heated stones and some honey. Yeah. Then I can put my results in. I can assign or address corrective actions. It is preventative. And I put my measurements in. Because it's all generic, we're just looking for text fields. Someone's going to be responsible. Again, we spoke about DD, like that is all about delegation. Delegate, delegate, delegate. These are the responsible people in the company. You wouldn't have selected someone because it would look bad. This analysis does not get updated automatically. So back to our 5 items. What happened? Where did it happen? Why did it happen? Who was involved? And how is the outcome? So when I refresh now, all of my addressing actions and my results have now been combined into how. So that was the result of how it actually happened, our last result. The same thing is linked into what our root cause result was. So when I look back at my action, how am I going to close that specific root cause analysis? Okay, so I know it's very hectic. What would have happened now in the background is, as soon as I completed that, it gets sent to my HOD to review. Okay, so the review and the confirmation of the root cause is by that HOD. And now remember, I asked myself to do the HOD. From HOD to a root cause analysis, I asked myself to do it. That's why it looks weird right now. I didn't want to log in again. So I confirm my root cause, and in this screen I'm basically going to say add it to my risk assessment, or it's an acceptable risk, close it out. That's all I need to write. I can put remarks in, but if you just go and say root cause acceptable, update, finish it off, removes it from the status, and now it's going and being sent to this actual responsible HOD, which is the manager of the guy that found the fault, right? Now, it's like sales talking to maintenance. Maintenance says I fixed the light bulb, but sales needs to go and check that the light bulb that the guy found was actually fixed. Okay, let's go back to our quality dashboard. Quality dashboard brings up again all of our items. So we've addressed the root cause analysis. You'll know that your tally has gone down from 2 to 1. We've still got a non-conformance. The observation has been removed because I've been through the process. And because of the HOD's responsible person who went and closed it off, that closes the cycle. Now, that was the person that actually did the action. So where I was logged in as, from the root cause perspective, was the same person. So it does look very strange in the way that I've not logged in again, right? But what had happened is the HODs literally just emailed each other. And those emails included, this is the results, and I've confirmed it. Okay. We've got the concept of what we're trying to do from open to closed. Okay. We can always go back to these quality flags. So all quality flags is everything in the system. If I go and close them, if I have closed them, then I go to my closed status actions. And remember, this is a combined report. So I would need to search for quality. Observation A, look at that observation, and I can reopen my root cause analysis. So now you'll see it's marked as green. Like a normal status report, it's been closed by a specific manager. I was in as Fred, and that was the closing manager in this case. My measurements is in place. I don't need to do a risk assessment, but I can always review my root cause analysis, and this is printable. So we can literally go and push print, show an auditor. Obviously, we'd love to show the auditor on digital. Okay, that is quality from an NCR perspective. Let's just check what's next. I want to make sure I didn't miss anything. Okay, we went through root cause analysis. Let's have a look at the contents page. Okay, we want to go through forms before I get a custom. So within the system, there's a whole aspect to understanding how to measure controls. Controls can be measured in many ways. I'm going to log back in as a control user. So let's use, okay, I should actually use the right password. Okay. Okay, what I've done is I've just opened up our demo, and this is being released to your companies as well. There just isn't a template for you to import. Okay, so a form is a very amazing tool. There is a cost to it that we need to put in place. We will give you a form that will assist your businesses. It could be a form to do an evaluation. It could be a form to do a checklist for event categorization, which could be a risk methodology. So take what you've thought about Safety 360 and now say, let's drop everything else in the system and just use a form. Because at the end of the day, quality says have a form and a template, right? And that creates our policies, our procedures, and our documents. So what a form allows you to do is take a concept of what you want to track, like this paperwork that someone's been writing over here. That could have been done in a form. Like the diary that Bernice is using, that could be done in a form. Because a form, all it needs is an input. Input could be a text area, it could be a radio button, it could be a camera live feed, it could be a scanning a barcode. Forms has been set up to literally take over what our system has to offer. If you've used products like SurveyMonkey, form is similar. Probably a lot better, but I won't say that on record. Oh, I've recorded it. Oh well. See what I did there? It is true. I'm going to show you a quick clip. This is some training that was sent through to a client. The login does not work. What I'll do is hide when the login happens. So you open up Safety 360 on your app. You put in your username and password. I'm going to jump across. There you go. It downloads your data because it's the first time you've opened it up. You choose a project it's going to be in and facilitate the operation, which is your process, and you start a form. Now the form has been a specific detail. Now it is a very quick movie because the actions are very, very quick. This client has got two forms. Fill out this while you're doing a senior leadership tour and fill out this to do a positive observation. So these two forms, when filled in, have an action. An action item could be send an email to a contractor. An action item could literally be save this as a non-conformance finding when I'm on site. So as you guys, you can both go to the sites that you operate and go and do findings and say, okay, I was on site that day and I noticed the barricading wasn't in place, for example. You can do the finding in your own system without doing a little checklist because sometimes the checklists are a bit vague. So if your checklists are 100%, they can work well for go, no go, and not applicable. Whereas a form like this, as I click play, these field options open up. So function is a drop down. These are radio buttons. So you can select multiple. There's my positive observation. There's my feedback. There's a photograph. So I click that, I can take a photograph. So the same thing with activity managing. Now you don't have to comply to the question of are all barricades in place? Yes. Okay, great. No-go does the no-go, right? Now you can go and say, are all barricades installed and fitted with a sensor? No. Like that no now doesn't have to be a no-go. You can set up your material management. You can go and say, that option needs to be yes, it needs to be no, it needs to be not applicable, it needs to be yes but too small, yes but no. That's a very, very vague concept of what we can do. Yeah, exactly. So it's not there, but it's not necessary. Yeah. Or it could be no, contractor not on site. Now it opens up a kettle of fish where you go and say, there's no sheaves on site, there's no supervisor on site. Now all of a sudden, I need to let the CEO of that contractor that I'm inspecting know that their site isn't being attended by a SHE practitioner. Because that's a problem, right? You want to make sure that the toolbox talks are done, as an example. One of your questions could be a checklist. Is signage ready? Yes. Housekeeping, cool. If I've gone and said that there's no PPE, shouldn't that go and flag somewhere? So what this would do now is go and say, if you've not selected PPE, do you have a finding? Is the finding that there's no PPE? Is the finding that they don't need PPE? Okay.
And if there is no sign.
Again, there's a different form for that because there would be different questions. First of all, you can go and say, open your 360. There you go. Type file. Okay. If that's not the first response, then I don't know what response we'll get. So there's a lot that forms can do. You can end up having a methodology. Kavalan has worked really well with Vodacom in terms of understanding the need analysis in a risk assessment module. So it would be great to talk to again. Forms can do so much. We're releasing more and more features within Forms, like live stream, literally open up your computer and then get someone on site to just open their phone up. And whatever the camera is viewing will be on your live system. That's one of the actions that a form can do. It's also very event triggered. So on an event, something happens. We use forms for geolocation. So if you've got a geolocated area and a checklist is done outside of it, there's a trigger. So why are you not doing the form in the right place? Okay. Forms has a whole bunch of options. Here's an example of some forms. I'm going to look at I don't know what the answers are here, but I've got a Latin long in my observation. This is a very long number. We must have done a scan on barcode. I can download the evidence here because it's already been PDF'd. So this test form has got the location of where it was and what the finding was. So the finding was literally a barcode scan. This system is really a demo. So when you get forms, with Kavalan and Filo's help, we'll make sure that the form is very generic. So say this is what the options can be. But it's great. Yeah. Everything goes into it. All it needs you to do is answer the questions here.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes, no, this stuff, this information, whatever it is. Yeah.
I think we will share the form.
Okay. Great. We'll double check with Kavalan. Kavalan at the moment is our form king. It doesn't have the word compliance. Over where in our forms option down here. So then check this. Okay, cool. Okay, so this is to do a form live. It's quite a new concept. We built forms to be offline and be mobile. So what this is now doing is it's taking the offline form, which you would have experienced like this on the app, into your system. It's very new. This is how new is it, Kavalan? Like a week. Week or maybe a week and a half. So like our normal checklists, have you seen how to do a checklist on the system? If you haven't, then join our webinar on the 17th. But check this out. I can go and say assign a project, or I can just do an operation. Set up my form, it takes me through to my first set of questions. The first set of questions, when is the event happening? What time is it happening? And how long is it happening for? Who is hosting the event? And who's going to be my specialist? I'm going to Do you know, okay, what I'm not going to go and do is go further than this. The only reason, what do you think it's okay, Pavlon? Yeah, cool. So HSC specialists in this form, there's been a lot of background activity. So, you know, we showed you a little bit about like a drop down and a radio button, but that's not half the fun. The fun on this field is that Sean Darla will get an SMS now if his number is set up correctly. Is it on this system? Did you get SMSs? Okay, let's just put it in. It's okay. You've got examples anyway to show us. Okay, so our group gets saved. Sean gets an SMS. And now the first set of questions, I don't think this is your one, the audience profile. So my audience profile could be mixed family, young adults, internal stuff. So on your side, this would make sense from an event point of view. And on Benice's side, it might be a bit different because of the sites that you work in. So when you guys set up forms, Benice, you can go and configure all of these options. When you look at understanding business tools, like let's say your calendar or writing notes in a meeting, these notes can be in here now as well, because a form can absorb any kind of template. So if you've got any like Excel documents or printed out forms that don't look like a checklist, the form is the thing for you, okay? Cool. So in an events scenario, these are the two. Cool. So it's a medium risk at the moment, because I've assigned a specific risk rating to it. 10,000. High. Oh, okay. Let's do it very high. Lots of people. Type of event. Now check this out. Remember we spoke about no-goes and goes and the complicated checklist. These are options you put in. Now check at this. We could go in fair and say bad. So you could have written fair there, right? And assigned it a point. It's not going to kill somebody. That's what we're saying. But there would be a scoring for it. And that's why we can see the low and medium here. So what's going to get done for us is we're going to go and say, yes, I do have proximity to whatever. Let's do some no's as well. I'm not going to go through all of them. There's even a 3, a high. Okay, next. This now saves the second last group. Did you get a WhatsApp or an SMS cover? Can you show us maybe what it looks like? Okay. So this is now the coordinator. Coordinator opens up the signature request. I can then sign here. If I don't like my signature there, I just scan this QR code over here. And this will take my session onto my phone. So if I'm not liking where I'm signing, so specifically on your iPhone, this works really well. Scan it, and you sign it on your iPhone. You can continue back where you left off here. Okay, so it's signed. Cool. So now that this is complete, there would have been an SMS that gets sent off because I need a second signature. I now need the HSC specialist signature. So I selected Sean, remember, guys? Cool. So I now sign as Sean. So just show us the SMS along. You did? Cool. Yeah, I did. Cool. Signed, sealed, delivered. So the one thing that isn't happening right now on this signature is you don't get a pop-up to say someone signed. You get an email. Because the main thing is, this is happening without the HSC specialist knowing. There's an event coordinator, an event is happening with Jerome. In this case, it's Jerome's checklist. Didn't mean to say that. But it's a very good checklist. It covers so much. And what you'll see now is what the risk rating is calculated on. That's what I want to show you. Thanks.
Okay.
Yeah. So what Kabalan is saying is that he saw a SMS come in, and the SMS includes a bit of the information. And when he clicked on the link to sign, it goes and shows him the whole document. So the HSC specialist is knowing about this, right? It's not just happening blind. So what we're waiting for now is Kabalan to actually sign. Awesome, I'm glad. Thank you, man. We'll one day get it right to get your screen on my laptop. Exactly. Yeah. So this TV isn't a smart TV, but in the studio we've got a smart TV that we can share our screen to. That's awesome. Did you sign? Okay, so it can come through. We'll double check what's going on there. But this is what then is it still submitting? Great. So then there's Sean's name because he was a signature holder. Now let's check it out. I'm going to either paginate, depending on how you want to work with the risk, but let's just go to the end. See here, there's the signatures coming in. Okay, so I've got quite a few submits from you. Okay, let's go back. But you didn't PDF the report. So what I'm going to do is let's just finalize it as a PDF. On this one, but not all forms. Which form did you choose? Okay, so that one didn't need, so that one didn't have a workflow. So remember on this is not a checklist. So checklist has a workflow built into it. Checklist goes and says, no goes, go into my status report. Whereas a form is like, what do you want the form to do? So this form is literally going to bring in all this information. But like what we're after here is, what's the result? So let's look at the result down here. How many yeses were there? There was 19. How many no's were there? 8. 1 H. Look at my methodology. How do I work out risk? It's based on the final risk rating of the event, which will calculate my risk rating. So if my risk rating calculation down here is between this number or this set, I will get an outcome. Can you see the benefit of this?
I can see the benefit of the risk.
It is a medium risk though. It'll be your methodology. Yeah, but you should have asked that there. Exactly.
Yeah, I understand. So, yeah.
Let's check. Is there a question about alcohol? Check this one out though. So 22. Yeah, I said medium. You know what I mean? So it would have impacted my risk rating heavily because I would have had another point. Now that would have given me a 13. So I still would have been a medium risk. But it now comes down to how you set up your form. So the workflow here is that this is my methodology down here. So if we go and say, okay, now my methodology has changed. I've realized that I stuffed up. And when I have an alcohol problem, it actually needs to give 7 points, you know?
Well, at this stage, you might get contact or but never automatically using it. And no just consultant.
Yeah.
With these.
Yeah.
Additional third party.
So you build your form,
Yeah. But yeah, this is all controllable. There's an Excel spreadsheet that's available that you can use to download. And that Excel spreadsheet literally lets you say, like a safety file import. Have you seen a safety file import? Let's head over to our knowledge base. In knowledge base, okay, so in knowledge base, the left-hand side, I think it would probably be called your white label name knowledge base. Eh? But you're now logged in. You're not logged in as your sub account. It's a good check. It's a good tell. Okay, good. So that's also a good telltale where you logged in. If you logged into Jintan, you logged into ITD, then it will say Safety 360 knowledge base. But if you've logged into your demos, or your client's demo, client's accounts, it will change to your white label name. Okay. So check this. We've got import tool for most of the things in the system. You will notice that forms isn't here as yet because Kavalan needs to get some information from me, and I'm a bit slow, isn't it? The non-conformance. All we do is download the sheaf file, for example. This sheaf file index lets us import it into the system, and in 5 minutes, you can have your safety file structure aligned to what the outputs are of 360. Whoops, that wasn't supposed to be shown. Let me go and I'll definitely scrub that out. Yeah, sheaf file project monitor. Let's check project monitor. This is where you can see all the management of projects, just because we looked at the context of a file. So in project monitor, head to manage and then safety file structure. These are all the safety file structures that exist. So like for Fluid, for edX, they're using Get2s predominantly. MGG is using different options because MGG also does work for different clients other than Vodacom, obviously. So business case would be, don't only put all your eggs in one basket. And I'm glad that it happens. It's very difficult out there. If we now look at, let's say, AXA. There's the AXA OAuth Tambo standard for a safety file. So when you're submitting work for a tender, you already got the safety structure of AXA. If you want to work at the Bokoni mines, you've got the mine structure. These are the structures that are in place already in the system. There will be a release to show you all the structures in one place. You'll notice that it's just showing everything. So there will be the structure list, and there are about 75, I think, maybe 60 or 75. I don't know. There's a lot. Okay, so I think as we're starting to close, there are many ways to get information into the system. We'll send out another email after the white label training of all the things we've covered, just to remind you, because it is a very important thing. What you've experienced in 5 days is 4 years worth of development. Okay, so it's crucial to understand that. Yeah. The main thing is the internet is breaking. The internet is like building. The internet's always under construction, like with our fiber projects. So if we can't redevelop and redesign this system, then 2020, you can kiss it goodbye. So we'll be there for you. The backup's there. The Q&A session, we'll have it after In Touch just now. That'll be after lunch. Is that okay? Because I know you're out at 2 o'clock.
Outside, but also need to fix my bag and wait to be
Cool. Well, let's just wrap up then In Touch. Okay. I'm going to go back to our presentation. If the Q&A doesn't happen today, which I'm thinking it shouldn't happen today, although there are a lot of things, I didn't email everyone out. I had a bit of an emergency yesterday that I had to take care of. So I think what we should rather do is talk amongst yourselves, maybe Denise, chat with Jack as well, because it's important that a lot of people attend the Q&A. So maybe the follow-up should be possibly on Tuesday. We'll talk amongst ourselves before the end of the day. Okay. Great. So we've talked about NCR management. We've spoken about forms, the beauty about your own risk methodology. Checklists can also be happening. Now, custom. Let's go all the way to the end of the slideshow before we move to In Touch. Okay, there's also another slide about forms. Custom-wise, these are our 4, let's say, bigger clients that are using the system. They all have their different quality aspects. And because of our NDAs, I can't describe what they do and how they do it. But literally, Ultranexus uses this system for their quality management, and they're doing really well with it. So well that we're now in talks with bigger organizations because of that. CryoSave uses quality management for stem cells management. So they literally put umbilical cords into a freezer. And the whole process between freezer and umbilical cord and placenta, I think it's called a placenta, and that storage in a cryogenic way. It's amazing. And we're actually launching it on Monday. Can't wait. Because we've been developing this for now 7 months. And it's got all their processes and plans in place. From materials management all the way through to barcode creation, signing, QC. Oh my gosh, it is hectic. You just imagine spending 12 grand a year or 13 grand a year And then when your baby needs the stem cells, there's no stem cells. That's a problem. Logic Trials, a clinical logistics company, they use the system to send and receive parcels around the world. Pharma Logistics, similar setup. This is now bigger business though, Russia to the UK, to Africa, and Africa out. So they use the system as well to do all of the tracking and tracing of clinical trials and medicine. Altron, from a field force perspective, makes sure that their maintenance, their builds, and everything is done perfectly. I don't think there's much more from an Altron perspective at Dublin. Because you were there, Richard, were you at Altron? Okay, but yeah, they use it to make sure that the site builds are correct, and they use it for their internal quality issues. Okay. Ultimately, this is the last slide before we finish on InTouch. But at the end of the day, all quality is helping us do is identify, action, and resolve things. So if you can see those processes in business, even if you're not going for certification, if you're already addressing identity, action, and resolution, you are a quality system. So you can use different things like email, form, and calls to identify. You use actions and status reports to notify and complete the actions, and you control it with happiness because there's a lot of tools out there that are complicated to do. In wrapping up, InTouch is already inside the system. InTouch is inside. It's cool. Back to our dashboard. There are 2 URLs, and it is the follow-up to our conversations today. And it speaks a lot about how do clients log in if they do not have a login. Okay, so the dashboard is one of them. Now, from what happened last week in our quality and InTouch commitment, we want to make sure that the channels are set up in your businesses, but the use case isn't there yet. So I'd like to talk to Jack and Denise about it independently of Jintan as well, because at the end of the day, I think your demos will be very different in how you guys go to market. So let's forget about setting up our channels. But what I'm going to just describe quickly in, let's say, 5 minutes is what InTouch does. If you've heard about CRMs, like consumer relations management, that's what InTouch is. We've developed it to include a portal that your suppliers and contractors can log into. So if you've got a problem with somebody, you can manage it through this. But also, if your customers and clients have a problem with you, you can manage it through this. So you check the channels here. You've got improvements, which is a good thing. Complaints, a good thing because you can do a root cause, right? A service request, I want to work with you more. A general query, compliment, and sales query. So these are all channels that you set up yourself. You don't have to use ours. It's a generic way to manage business, but not all businesses are the same. How we split it up is that we've got the total amount of tickets, completed tickets, and then pending tickets. So those are how you can see the resolution coming from, when it was asked and when it was completed. This dashboard has a bit of data. There's been 5 tickets launched. Overall, you've ended up with a score of 4 out of 5 and a turnaround time of a day, 3 hours and 17 minutes. So the system is also going to show you progress on the ticket. So if you've said a ticket was open today, you're saying your average is a day, let's say a day and a half to get it resolved, like working hours, right? Now, what the system is helping you with is not just creating a ticket from a client's perspective, but also internally managing who's responsible. So now take off the hat of quality completely, because it's not the same process. This is a compliment, a complaint, a sales query. So between these channels here, they would have different HODs. So like Kavalan suggested earlier, it's like teams. You've got an operation which is sales, an operation which is marketing, and sometimes that's actually one team, right? So that team would focus on sales, and it would so focus maybe on complaints, because if a sales team gets a complaint, they know that their bonus is linked to that, right? If you're in a great company that's going to give bonuses and can afford to, right? It's all linked to KPIs. And this measurement can help us work with that. So all the touch points, if you think about a business, touch point at the moment has been phone calls, emails, WhatsApp groups, especially the family ones, live chat, which you're being hidden away from here. That's a touch point. Facebook is a touch point. Another touch point is someone walking through the door here. So if someone's got a problem with your business, they will come to you and say, guys, that gate 2 didn't get submitted. What's going on? Guys, I can't open a file. What's going on? That actually should start a complaint, compliment, service request, or a change. Something must happen, right? So consider the channels as inputs, or consider the channels as what's happening, who's responsible. Zoom out. InTouch on the side here has quite a few different management tools. So you can load your clients into it. You can load your industries into it. Channels and personnel management. So this CRM tool that's just part of the SuiteSpot 360 allows you to enhance 360, make it into a fully scalable CRM that can even be connected to a VoIP service. So in my live status here, open up my live status. You might not have a ticket already. I know Jack did have a ticket. And I know Gift did create a ticket. If it's not there, we'll have independent discussions with the teams. But these are my open tickets. Now, what's great about this is I can automatically assign persons responsible for compliments, complaints, whatever. For example, in your organization, if Errol heard about a complaint, he would go wild. So that's why there's somebody below him that goes and says, okay, can I not sort it out before Errol knows about it? Because surely it's a small thing, like maybe it was a comma instead of a full stop. So there's a variable here when we talk about teams, channels, and industries. Okay? Responsibility is made by two aspects, industry and channel. So these two people are going to be served any compliment in the system. I'll zoom in a little bit. Now, that's only because of a specific channel and industry. So my industry here is fire protection, advanced manufacturing, whatever. Now it allows you to group them. So you might have a big team that says, I handle all telecommunications services, and I handle all small business. Now those two are very different. You wouldn't handle them in the same way. And that's why your personnel gets managed in, let's call it a 3-dimensional approach. So in my personnel, I've got my channels. Now what you'll notice here is there's no industry linked to this. That's because they work across industries, but you can also set up that an industry and a channel has had to get a specific person involved. Back to live status. Remember, live status is like a live view. It's almost like your status report view. I can add progress to a call. So clicking on progress will allow me to see the client. And what the benefit of this is that when I start the call, this connects my VoIP. So I've done a SIP service request in the background, connected to your local server, and said, okay, make a phone call to this number. The phone starts ringing, the recording starts happening. And this way I can now go and say, okay, my staff members might be spending too little time on the call. I don't care about the long time. I want my complaint, my compliment sorted out. But I don't want it done in 10 seconds. I want to make sure that there's an average time. Because dealing with clients, it's all over the place. From this information, you can gather so much statistics that will assist you in preventing false positives, preventing what? A comma from being a full stop. And it's all about being in touch. So in touch is your solution should you need to talk to clients, and I think everyone should, but it's not going to cost like a Salesforce cost. Okay. Your average CRMs go for millions. Just the linking of a Cisco to a Salesforce kind of setup is a huge cost. So what we're saying is here, you've got the technology, it's a simple form, just get a SIP service, costs you about $2,000 a month. Then all your phone lines operate through a server instead of a Vodacom line or an MTN line. So your costs are down because it's just $3,000 a month for everybody to phone each other. Okay? Now we're talking hardware and technology. So do talk about technology and hardware with us because we do understand the market. The main thing in industry that's a problem at the moment is IT management. It's such a vague concept. So if you are unaware about IT management, even though you're in telecommunications, it's not a big thing. But there is a way to set up a server. There is a way to manage cost, specifically if it's expensive. Cycom can work. Yeah. There are so many services. That's a backup generator problem. Yeah.
That's a
The last part of this, the whole last of this, well, let's just say there's some red tape everywhere. Last part is feedback. So I can track my feedback and I can move to resolution. So resolution in this industry is adding comment. And this, in fact, sends out that my process has been successful or not successful. So you get to choose a survey. We've got a standard survey in the system. The survey gets emailed to the client, and the client can log in. Now, you might want to know where to log in, and it's all in an email. Literally, they would have got an email to say, here's your login, go in, and it would look something like this. So InTouch has its own platform. It's not branded with 360. It's not even branded with Jintan, with Vodacom, with anything. It's a self-branded environment. When the client logs in, they see this dashboard and ask, what do you want to do? So today, I want to see if I've got a survey to do. Great. I've got resolution. I got an email about it with a link. But this is my resolution, where I can go and add my service requests and compliance. So now here at the end of it, am I happy or not? Because that's your final goal. If you can see the beauty of this, then we will work for a couple of years. Track tickets, yeah, the tickets that are open, and what's happened on the ticket. Okay, so from a CRM perspective, there's a lot of scope for this. This is the same way that you would have probably experienced the sharing of safety files. But how does it get to a non-safety 360 system? Did you guys chat about that? Okay, great. The main thing is you can use 360s together. You can use the 360 with a non-360. You can use 360 with a shared link. So there are 3 options to control subcontractors. And you do not have to have the expense of $3,000 a month. That expense can be on the principal. That expense can be on the client. Only because we're still revolutionizing the industry. So if you want to be part of it, join up now. Just get hold of this strategy. Are there any questions about InTouch? Cool. Guys, I know it was a bit longer than 5 minutes. Maybe it was 10. But we literally went through someone having a problem and someone getting a survey back with a phone call in the middle. I know sometimes it might seem daunting, but if you can think about it, then it can happen online. Like with AI, AI can see something and interpret it like our eyes do. If you can see someone's wearing a hard hat, there's a camera that can do it better than you because your eyes can't really see in the dark unless you eat more carrots or something. Okay, so there's not much to discuss. I think we've gone through quality InTouch and forms. I'm happy that we are still developing and redeveloping. There are many questions that have come up that we need to address. But again, only because there are 2 people here, I think there's a better environment to have more people in the room. Because there's some questions that would have been asked, let's have a check again, that don't really impact the people in the room. And to give it complete justice, it's probably better to go and say, hey, I raised that, and maybe I just needed a mindset change. Okay. Yeah, exactly. But if you don't mind, I don't know, what do you guys think? There are how many questions? Let's say there are 50 questions. Do you want to attack something that's very crucial to your business? And can we do the rest of these questions in the new week? What's your gut feels? There are only 2 votes to be cast. Okay.
Not much.
I'm sweating here, Sean. I've been sweating. The things that are coming up. Oh.
Okay.
So yeah, I think definitely let's start with the basics. Clear your systems. I don't think we should clear yours. Yours looks pretty good. There's just one user that was a ghost here. So what happened there, in the system, you can't actually create someone with the same ID number. It's just not allowed. So I think there was a bypass on that ID number. And that's why Benice had a ghost and a username. Okay, I think we'll definitely have this in consideration. As a team, we're going to meet and strategize about how we answer your questions. Not one person can answer these questions. I think it's going to be a collaborative approach. What will happen is we'll have a webinar similar to the links that we've sent out. You'll get a link to Zoom, and then Zoom will open up with a panel, And the panel will basically go and say, okay, we're going to now answer questions related to training. Everyone with training is going to go to a little section in the digital Zoom room, and we're going to separate everybody and deal with the actual questions they've got. We can obviously ask and answer questions that are general as well. But when we start to see that there's a trend, we'll just basically split the group so we can make sure we can optimize your time. Because I do know that you spend a lot of time here, so thank you for the time. Thank you for your time to come up here. Like the walk from PE is a very long walk. So I think, yeah, there's a lot to do with the system. There's more conceptually a behavioral change that needs to happen in society, where previously we don't trust systems because 2 days ago WhatsApp was down or the internet keeps crashing. And that trust value needs to come back. From a data science perspective, it's important because the more data you have, the better. But at the same time, there are measurements that you can do without data. So what does that mean to your business? You don't need to have data for everything. Depends who you're reporting to at the end of the day. So if you can come up with a concept, sorry, Philip, yeah. Okay. Because it's a system. Sure.
Well, that's what it's not quite a bit. Also for something,
yeah. Configuration is probably the keyest ingredient. So when we normally do an implementation cycle, and we'll send you our implementation policy, it's a very generic approach. I'm sure you've thought about it, but the reason that it's on paper is that people follow paper sometimes. There's a thing called the 10 Commandments that some guys know about, and then there's a Quran. So like if we document it, it's in paper and it's a policy. So that's what we stick by. So we adhere to a policy with you guys. You've read the white label agreements. You might not have seen it. The policy changed if you've already got a policy out there. Now, the main aspect is we will measure you like you are measuring us. So we've said, here's a system. It's freaking amazing. There are additions to it. There's changes. There's improvements. The life cycle of the product is still at infant stage. We're still like only 4 years down. One of the clients that I've mentioned in here has related us back to being the next SAP. And that's a huge compliment to a team of initially one person who is now 32 people implementing a system that is still being developed. Can you imagine what the implementation team, Tapila, has had to go through when at a client the thing fails? Like, that's the biggest NCR for me. So we've got solutions for that. And the solutions include live chat, includes an online guide, includes a thing called Trello to help us understand our bugs. But now with version 2, it's a bug-less environment because nothing is released with a bug in it. And that's because all the bugs that are created in version 2 are actually documented for itself. So we have an AI in our own system finding bugs. And when I was building the system in 2015, I didn't even know about this kind of stuff. I was like, I'm just going to use core PHP, build this thing, it's going to work solid, use simple PHP. That's the solution. Everything's got too complicated. Go look at your Facebook page at the moment. Look at all the things that are just shouting at you. It's almost like you need to go and say, block out that part of the screen because it's too much. Like those games. How many times have you been requested to play a game? I'm like, yeah. So social media is taking over the world, right? Yeah. I agree with that. He is lying. At least everyone. Yeah, I was about to say. If you've got a social account and you're in the workplace, it should be LinkedIn. Because I was able to the other day just send out recommendations to all my staff to say, okay, we're connected, I'm going to recommend you because I believe in you, right? At the end of the day, it's just about that people management to say, I believe in you, you can do it. Thank you for doing your service. All that kind of stuff means a lot. And the fluff, like Facebook. Facebook equals fluff sometimes. That's the distraction. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not Zuckerberg. We have the same name.
That's also publicity.
Yeah.
Yeah. That way, although you agree to the terms and conditions, but
yeah.
it's like they're writing their own rules.
Yep.
You do the terms and conditions.
They've been taken to court a lot of times. But remember, you're under Facebook, you're governed by US law. So US law includes the Patriot Act. The Patriot Act says, I have access to your information no matter what. So you said yes to that.
Yeah, because most people don't read.
I said yes to it. I've deleted my account a couple of times. Well, you can put on a pause, but they still keep your information. Now they've got a new policy that they can delete this stuff, but you don't know if it's really deleted. But yeah, there's a lot to talk about.
Data. But on the false account, there's also been integrated with your information.
Yeah.
I think I was Facebook talking with anything. I can see what you do, and you can see what I do. That's smiling the other.
Yeah.
It's really technical.
The privacy is there though, so you can have privacy layers. And I've seen it work. I've had stalkers.
But there is levels.
But luckily we're not talking about Facebook policies yet.
If you say you don't know, okay, you've said border policy, you've made it no.
Yeah.
You don't want anyone else outside of you. I can pinpoint you of your last
Login.
view.
Yeah.
Don't have to post anything.
Yeah.
Just the last time you should look at your
Yeah. Yeah. No, there's a very scary aspect to what data can do. And the main thing is accuracy. Accuracy, access, accountability. Because at the beginning of our whole view of what 360 does is that it complies to the OSH Act and it complies to client requirements. Those two things mean a lot. Who is accountable? And in this case, we're accountable to the US government and Trump if we said yes to Facebook. So we don't have an option. So like you using WhatsApp, it's actually Facebook. Companies using WhatsApp for business, Facebook can see all that stuff. No wonder you get an advert for a loan because you've been chatting to your mom about, oh mom, I need some money. Guys, it's scary. Yeah, exactly.
it's still that fine, but
Yeah, you should read the fine print on our policies.
okay, now I feel like that.
Marketing split. Yeah, so what we'll do is we'll get John to reach out to you, Errol and Gift, or you and Gift, sorry, and then just get the confirmation. We just need a confirmation. Yeah. And on your side as well, Bernice, we'll just let you know. I have a long email from Jack, so we'll attack the Jack email soon. Okay. Yeah, but yeah, there's a lot to do, and I think what we can achieve here is really amazing.